Well, hi there, folks, and welcome to another episode of Jeff Drawing. It's me, Jeff Morin, and today you're watching me draw, and I'm drawing Pudgy Pig. If you're a bit older than me or a bit younger, you might not know who Pudgy Pig is. Pudgy Pig is one of the fun monsters from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. I'm sure you'll know what the Power Rangers are. They still make Power Rangers shows to this day. But Pudgy Pig was one of their earliest villains. And he's one of my favorites. I think I first saw him, I think it was the first episode of that I ever watched of Power Rangers was the Pudgy Pig episode. So he has a place in my heart. But yeah, he's I still like him to this day. I think he's I like the design. I think it's totally and utterly insane and creepy as all hell. When you watch the show and it's a rubber costume, and it's kind of played for laughs a little bit. It's fine. But when you think about it in the terms of like using your imagination, and you're supposed to, he's a pretty hideous monstrosity. He has arms coming out of his mouth, like mandibles, and he uses them to scoop, humans and the Power Rangers' weapons and other things into his mouth. And when he eats, his tail kind of does a boing, which is a little strange, especially for a kid's show. But anyway, that's why I like the Pudgy Pig. I'm known for liking the weird stuff, I guess. That's something I've talked about before. And my goal with this was to, draw him in my own style. I wanted it to be a little exaggerated, like I usually draw. I wanted the bold lines and everything, and not try to be realistic about it necessarily, but I also wanted to add little details that made it seem not really realistic, but just stranger, like to really emphasize the weirdness of Pudgy Pig. So I added like those gross veins and the little tip, sinewy tissue and such coming out of his on the base of his arms, where it's coming out of his mouth. And you'll see as I draw the teeth, I put little cracks in it, and I give him the taste buds on his tongue and stuff like that, and really try to hammer home what's pretty gross and weird about that character. But also stay true to the design, and not veer too far off from what they did in the show. But yeah, as a kid, I was super into Power Rangers. I was like a hardcore Power Rangers nerd for a long time. Like I kept up with that show probably much longer than I should have. I was probably in high school when I finally stopped watching it. And I can remember they had, I quit watching for a while, but they had an episode that was like the last and final episode of Power Rangers, or it was supposed to be, but it was right before Disney bought them out and started producing the show. And it was like this big epic battle with the Power Rangers in space, and a bunch of the old Rangers came back, and the old bad guys, and they had to do this. And I thought it was cool. There was something about that where it was just like, oh, okay, there's a whole mythology to it, and I kind of got into that. I really geeked out over it, which is probably the reason I didn't have a girlfriend for a long time, I'm sure. But, I got sort of out of it for a while. I was done with it. I was grown up. Power Rangers is definitely a kid's show. It's a bit silly at times. It's a bit cheesy. There's always a lesson to be learned and stuff like that. But when I was in my early 20s, and I guess it's not so embarrassing to admit now, but at the time, this was my secret shame. Like I got back into Power Rangers in a big way. Like I started watching the newer episodes and stuff, and it happened because I was flipping through the channels one Saturday morning and came across Power Rangers Dino Thunder, and that was a show where Tommy, the old Green Ranger, as many of you remember, he later became a variety of other colors. He returned to train the new Power Rangers, and they were dinosaur themed, so it felt like a throwback to the Mighty Morphin days that, when I was a kid and I was really into it, and so I really got into that, and I watched that for a while, and I even continued with Power Rangers SPD, which was another, for a while after Disney bought it, it was like they were doing different, every season was a new set of Power Rangers. It didn't seem really connected or anything, but then when they did Dino Thunder, it was connected to the whole mythology, and then they did Power Rangers SPD, which was connected as well, but it was this kind of cool thing where it took place in the future, and they were a police force that fought alien threats, and it kind of almost like made more sense in a way. It was like the show felt like a little more mature, like the stories and the character development and stuff, and they had some really decent actors playing the characters, and I really liked it, and so I got into that in like an embarrassing amount, and there was even one situation where I decided to go to my local Kmart and buy a DVD copy of some episodes back when DVDs were a thing still, and they had 5 episodes. They would take a lot of kids shows and put 5 episodes of something on a DVD. And I went to Kmart one day, all sly like, and found a copy of that, and tried to get out of there as fast as I could, but I was stopped by some old classmates, and I tried so hard to hide that DVD behind my back or on my side, but in the course of making small talk, they were asking what I was doing there, and I had to sort of be like, oh yeah, hey, you guys remember Power Rangers? This is kind of cool. It's got the guy from the old one. Ha ha ha! This is just a funny joke. But seriously, I was like really geeking out over this thing a lot. I mean, I didn't take it super seriously. Like, I wasn't like thinking like Power Rangers was high art or anything. I mean, a lot of it was rooted in my nostalgia. But I was just. It was definitely a sad day for Jeff Morin. But truth be told, that's not that big of a deal. I think now that I'm pushing 32, I'll be 32 in May. I'm not embarrassed by that stuff anymore. And I mean, yeah, it's popular now. Nostalgia is popular now. People are remembering the shows that they watched when they were a kid, and they're making movies out of it and all that stuff. And it's like, so now I would have no problem going to the store and buying a DVD copy of Power Rangers. I'm sure I have plenty of 30-something-year-old friends that have binge watched the shows on Netflix or whatever, but we're talking early 2000s, young 20-something guy, and it just wasn't the cool thing to do, and and it was my secret shame, my guilty pleasure, if you will. But I'm proud of it now. I mean, I'm happy to be a nerd and like this stuff. But so speaking of nostalgia, one of the things that inspired me to do this artwork is they're making a new live action. It of course is live action. A new Power Rangers feature film, like for the theater, and I'm kind of pretty excited. It's sort of a reboot of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which I would love to see a big budget franchise version of these characters. Like, you know, because the monsters are so weird, because these concepts are kind of strange. You know, I hope that, you know, I just hope that they handle it right and they make it a good, you know, they make that stuff look good. You know, I want the monsters to look real, not cartoony. You know, I haven't seen it, but they made that Goosebumps movie a while back, and I saw the trailer, and a lot of the monsters in that were very cartoonish, and the CG wasn't like very polished, and maybe because it was for kids, and you know, they didn't want it to be too scary or whatever. But I'm hoping, you know, I know this is going to be a family movie, but I'm hoping that the you know, they make it for both kids and grown-ups, and they think like, hey, you know, the grown-ups are going to want to see this. They want it to look like a Marvel movie, or, you know, one of the superhero flicks going on. And I hope that's because, you know, they're making it because of the trend, I'm sure, that with the superhero genre. And you know, I hope they follow suit and really try to make it, you know, look like something good. You know, because we've seen the cheesy stuff, we've seen the bad CG. You know, they had the movie in I think it was 1995 that spun off of the TV show, and that was really cool. I mean, they spent some money on you know, upgrading the Rangers costumes and the makeup for Rita and Zed and all the monsters and stuff, and it looked pretty good. It didn't have very good CGI. It was 1995. They're still figuring that stuff out, and it was a little, I'm sure, low budget in that sense. And you know, so when they were fighting as their Zords, it was a little Cal Arts looking, you know, like student film. But that's you know, I just and that, you know, that was great at the time. I still enjoy that now. I mean, it's a good, if you're feeling nostalgic for Power Rangers, it's a fun movie to watch, and you know, it's just got some fun, memorable lines and stuff. But I just would like to see something big budget, and I'm hopeful that they will take Pudgy Pig amongst many other. There's another Eye Guys one. Just the weird ones. I want to see those guys interpreted in reality, full flesh and blood, textured, you know, realistic physics to the animation. I mean, even if they used practical effects, that'd be great. I mean, the 95 movie had that weird pig guy, and I almost wonder if that was sort of them trying to do Pudgy Pig. He was kind of like the replacement for some of the other monsters that weren't in the movie. And that looked good, but I would like to see it just really gross and detailed. But you know, I'm crazy like that. You know, I'm sure they're, you know, Power Rangers is still a thing. They're still making shows, so I'm sure that kids will want to go see this movie with their parents, and so they're not going to want to make it look too weird or too scary. You know, it'll probably be PG or something. But yeah, that was part of my inspiration for drawing Pudgy Pig. You know, there's not a lot at all of like fan art online, or at least maybe wherever I'm looking, of the monsters and stuff, which is kind of funny because they're the funnest to draw. But you know, it seems mostly to be like the Power Rangers themselves, and you know, people drawing the Rangers kissing, you know, like the weird stuff, like the fandom that's gone too far. I mean, that's fine. It's not too far, I guess. I went pretty far back in the day, but it's not the stuff that, you know, is fun to look at for me. You know, I don't like a detailed anime, beautiful version of, you know, Tommy and Kimberly kissing. Like, I would rather see Pudgy Pig drooling and, you know, all veiny and gross. But that's just me. That's the kind of art that I like to look at, and that's why I make it. That's good advice for any of you artists out there, is to draw what you want. You know, you need to make what you want to exist. You know, I think that's like, I've heard other artists and filmmakers and writers say to do that. It's like, you know, filmmakers make the movies that they want to see, and, you know, writers write the novels that they want to read. And that's kind of the idea behind my drawings, is like, I want to see this thing exist. I do that with a lot of stuff, you know. I mean, I I change my style up. In these videos, I always try to just draw for fun. But there's things I've done, there's little projects I've done where I just wanted to see how something looked like. I've even taken Photoshop. I did like some Photoshops to sort of like fake movie posters and stuff like that, because I want to see that stuff exist, and I want to, see my own vision, my own version of that, because a lot of times they, Hollywood and stuff, they won't make your version, or the version that you had in your head. It's somebody else's idea, which is fine. Everyone's got a different idea of what something should be. For instance, I want to see a disgusting Pudgy Pig monstrosity that looks like a naked human, but instead of a torso, they have a pig face. It is weird, though. It's really weird when you think about that Pudgy Pig design. Like, when you look at the actual Power Rangers show and you see the way he looks, it's like clearly a person in a costume, and like the leg size and everything, and it just looks kind of like a naked guy, but there's a pig face, and that makes it even more nightmarish. I mean, Pudgy Pig is like something out of like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I mean, you think that like that one Nightmare movie where Freddy's like that weird phallic snake thing with the face, and he's like eating that girl. You thought that was bad? Pudgy Pig. That's Freddy. But yeah, that was my inspiration for drawing it, and I'm just I did it in Manga Studio as usual. I know I didn't talk too much about the process this time, but I've talked about my process a lot in the past few videos, so this time I thought I would just rap about Power Rangers and how much of a giant nerd I am. But I did use Manga Studio. Manga Studio is my favorite program to use. I've talked a little bit before about like how the brush tool or the pen tool for inking is really nice for doing high resolution drawings, because your lines are smoothed out, because it's easy. I don't have a Cintiq or a tablet or like a Surface or anything where you can draw on the screen. I do have an old laptop that does that, which I never use, only because it's all built into the laptop. I like having the freedom of organizing my workspace by having my tablet separate from my monitor and stuff. So I have a Wacom tablet that's separate from the monitor, and it's it's a little harder, I guess, to like do those smooth lines when you're not just drawing directly on the surface. The angles can be a little weird or something, so it's helpful to have the software know, like, hey, you want this to be a little smoother than it's coming out, and you have to zoom in. You don't have to zoom in as much on Manga Studio. On Photoshop, you have to zoom way in to get those smooth lines. So if you have like a really big image, which I like to draw on really high res, because who knows, I might want to print this stuff out one day, and so it's harder the bigger your image is and the higher resolution it is. It's harder to get those smooth brush strokes like you would on paper with like a multi-liner pen or something. But yeah, that's I really like it. I've never encountered drawing software. I mean, I haven't tried that much, but I haven't encountered drawing software that really quite does that well. And I really like also like the brushes, like for painting and the airbrush tool and stuff. They really have all these little specific things you can toggle and tweak. I don't use half of them, but there's like some really good textures. I've downloaded some brushes from online with like watercolor textures and stuff. Mainly though for the coloring, like I'm doing on this, I just use that airbrush with like a screen filter, and screen is like, it paints with light, so you can keep going over it and it gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and so it's a good way to sort of like select an area, do like a quick little airbrush that goes from light and fades into the dark area, the dark spot, and then you just put like another one. They call them cuts in comic book coloring. used to, a lot of colors, some still do probably, they used to use the gradient tool to do that, and they would just select an area, put the gradient in, select a smaller area where they wanted like a little highlight or a shine, and put the gradient in. But now a lot of people, including myself, use the airbrush, and I select the area and then make my airbrush a little smaller for that highlight, and then you just kind of brush it in. And the cool thing about the airbrush is it has like a feathered edge. You can make the edge a little crisper if you want, and it like it can blend. It blends better. It looks a little it looks a little more natural than if you were to just do those cuts with the gradient. Like if you go back to like old 90s comic books, like Spawn and a lot of those Image comics where they really started working on using Photoshop to color with, and you can kind of tell like how they, where they cut in, for the gradients, and nowadays it's like beautiful. I mean, like you'll see the way they do it in some comics, like it just looks like almost like a painting. It's still an ink drawing with a color layered underneath, but the colorist just knows how to follow the direction of the ink drawing really well, and it looks pretty good. But yeah, that's my thing. That's me drawing Pudgy Pig. I hope you guys like it. I'm still open to suggestions. You can leave me comments. You can message me on Twitter. I'm @MilkmanJeff, MilkmanJeff. That's my old Twitter handle from way back when I was still working at the grocery store as a milkman, and it will never leave me. I'm too afraid to change my Twitter handle and like something mess up and I lose all the followers that I've gotten. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'm too scared. But yeah, you can follow me on there, give me suggestions or whatever. I may or may not do it. I mean, if it's something really like boring, I probably won't, but if it's like a fun idea, then I probably would. I really like doing characters and things from like popular culture, just because I feel like it's a challenge. Because if it's something that I'm designing myself, I can just stick within my comfort zone. But when it's something where it's like I have to look up the reference for it, and it's like stuff I haven't drawn before, then I still have to venture outside that comfort zone, and I sort of learn new things, and that's really great. So yeah, keep that in mind if you do decide to suggest something. But anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I'll post a link to this picture in the description, which will probably be on my Tumblr blog. You can always go to my website, jeffmillenart.com, if you are a business or an individual even, and you want to commission me for some artwork. I am available. Just give me an email. You can get that contact info on my website, and you can pay me and I'll do something for you that can be yours. And so do that. Hey, I would love to get a like and a subscribe. It'd be great if I could keep doing these and do these videos more often, and like really maybe monetize it someday. That would be like super cool. But for now, it's just kind of like a fun thing on the side in between freelance gigs for me. But yeah, if you guys want to share the videos, and whatever, that would be fantastic. I'd love you for it. But I wouldn't love you too much, but a little bit. I'll love you a little bit. We give you a little kiss, cyber kiss. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you later next time. Bye.
He is so disgusting.
That Pudgy Pig is the best monster I've ever made.